Possessed. Is it better to run him in a 5-man or a 10-man?
In this series, I'm going to teach you how to use each Chaos Space Marine unit more effectively.
So Possessed were pretty decent at the start of 10th. I used to run them quite a lot. I love them because they fit in with the Word Bearers theme, but recently I haven't really been using them. I haven't really found a place for them, and that since the code came out, their ability changed. It changed from devastating wounds pretty much every turn to now only once per battle, which is a bit disappointing. We'll have a look at that on the data sheet in a minute, but they are starting to be used a lot more in competitive play of late. So I've seen them being used as 5-man units, and I've seen them being used as 10-man units. So let's have a look at their stats, and then we can talk about the pros and cons of 5-mans and 10-mans. So, apologies, that's a little bit shaky. So to look at the profile, they've got movement of 9, which is excellent, really fast, get across the board, pretty speedy. They've got toughness 6, which makes them pretty tough, pretty durable. Most things will be running them on 5 small arms. Anything other than last cannons wounding them on 3s rather than 2s. They've got a 3+ and then a 5+. That 5+ can really save them from some more heavy weapons. They've got 3 wounds, which is nice because there's so much 2 damage stuff out there now. Their attack profile, they've got no guns. Their attack profile, they get 4 attacks, hit on 3s, strength 5, -1 AP, which is a bit of a letdown, and then damage of 2, which is nice. So they also get an icon, so they get to reroll the dark packs, which is good. But their ability, like I said, their ability here is now, it used to be it used to just be once if they made a dark pack, they'd get devastating wounds, but now it's once per battle, which does make them slightly less effective. So last game I played, I used 10-man units, ran them into tanks, and used the devastating wounds, and they managed to kill a tank. 2 units into 2 combats killed a tank each. Without the devastating wounds, they do struggle to do damage because they've got against heavily armored stuff because their AP is so low. So if you run them in Renegade Raiders, you've got access to advance and charge, which is great for Possessed. And if you're on objective, you end up with AP2, which makes them so much better. If you run them in Creation of Bile, I would personally probably, well, depending on opponent dependent, but I'd probably give them +2 movement. So that would be movement 11 rather than 9, which is great. They've got access to advance and charge there, so you can move them up 11, advance, 3 on average, and then charge them, which would be pretty nice. You get them in combat, maybe a first turn charge, but most likely second turn. And then in pack bound, they can punch up a little bit or just be good for clearing more chaff. I mean, you're probably going to kill chaffy units anyway. If you've got a 10-man unit, but a bit more versatile with 5-mans. But you can punch up into tanks with 5+ on the lethals if you go for Khorne, and if you go Slanesh, you get access to advance and charge again, and you can also get a lot of sustained. So the sustained ties well with works well with dev runes, because obviously you've got more chance of getting more devs. But pack bound is probably not as good because that advance and charge strat is tied to Khorne, which has lethals, which isn't as good with the dev runes, but still okay. And you can still always take sustain on 6s anyway. So I think for me, pack bound, I'd probably run them in 5s, where they can hit hard, use ability, and then probably take a bit of fire before they get killed. Increasing the Bile and Renegade Raiders, which are the 2 that I've been using recently, I'd probably run them in 10-mans. Creation of Bile, run them in 10s, and then Renegades as well, because you can use them stratagems, like we've talked about before. You can do precision on an objective, you get the extra AP on the objective. So pretty decent, pretty tough, and it's it's going to take a substantial amount of firepower to remove 10 possessed from an objective. They're basically mini Terminators. The 1, a 2+ rather than the 3+ rather than 2+, and then a 5+ rather than a 4+. They've got a higher toughness, 1 pip extra toughness, and they've got the same amount of wounds. So they're all similar, very similar profile to Terminators. A lot cheaper, no shooting obviously, but much faster. And I like to use speed. I like to get across the board as quick as I can and charge the enemy. So potentially I'm thinking of running 3 units of 10 alongside 3 units of ACDCs. That wouldn't be as good in Creation of the Bile because damned units do not get access to the Bile detachment army rule, but obviously the possessed would still be good. I think Renegades it'd probably work for that better, or maybe even pack bound. But like I say, it's a bit different. So for me, I'm going to start running them in 10s. So in my army box, where I store my army ready for travel, I've got 3 units in there. 1 unit of 10 is fully painted. 1 unit is half painted. I've got 4 more dudes to paint. And then 1 is grey, because I just recently assembled them, and they need to be sprayed and painted. So let me know what you guys think. Do you include possessed in your lists? Do you think they're better in 5-man? Do you think they're better in 10-man? Which detachment are you using them in? Let me know in the comments.